panel. So back to us here on this stage. I would like to know how we can make our leaders understand that the Millennium Development Goals that they are talking about cannot be achieved if the sexual and reproductive health of our youth are not respected. Because we need vibrant and healthy young people for them to develop the country. So my question is it on social media that the fight should be done or at the higher level? Where exactly?
I think it can be both. It's not either or. It's social media has been revolutionary. We all know that. With the advent of WhatsApp, I learn about things that I don't even want to know about. We all know. The minute you take your phones, you have access to a lot of information. Things that you're not interested in, especially if you're in groups. And so social media has been an amazing platform. And we know that a lot of things the leaders hear. Just like yesterday, we had this amazing argument between two parliamentarians. And immediately we hear that ACC has issued an order for them to. So social media can also be used that way. And we have activists that are doing amazing work, obviously, like Diaka. She's ready to hit anybody who has an opposing view on FGM on social media. So all of that will help our leaders to hear what we want to say. But for actual changes to be made, for definite changes to be made, we need them. We need those at the highest level of government to listen to us and to fight for the sexual and reproductive health of our youth, boys and girls.
Wait, what do you think?
Well, for me, I think I focus more on social media because I believe that as young people, that is one of the great tools that we can use to make our government listen to us. Like to mention, the government that we have now, they pay attention to social media and they act really fast based on the news that goes around. So, like for FGM, for example, I was supported by UNFPA to establish the youth-led movement. So the youth-led movement is a movement of young people who are using social media to advocate for sexual and reproductive health rights of women and girls. So I believe social media, yes, is a great tool. We obviously can use both, again, offline, but we will leave that to the people that can handle our government. We cannot. We are focusing more on change, because especially for FGM, I've seen that it's back and forth. We have governments who come in and say, okay, we'll ban it. Some will say, okay, 18 years and above. So at the end of the day, how we can get change is to actually, work on the mindset of people. That's how you get change, especially for FGM. Like when you make people to see that, you give them the information, the statistics, the facts, for them to see that, yes, this is a reality. It affects the rights of women and girls. It affects, it restricts girls from going to school. It violates their rights in every way possible. Then they will listen eventually. I've heard that so many times on social media. People come in attacking me, and then you will see them coming after in my DMs and direct message saying, "Oh, dear Kayes, you have a point there, but what if?" Then that's where I enter, because at the end of the day, it's always, I don't blame people because they have grown up. I was there. I was ignorant at some point in my life. I had no idea what this was. I was not even concerned about women's issues. I was not even concerned about girls' issues, because I was born and raised in a county that does not see that women and girls' rights matters. So it's all, again, Dr. Google. Went to Dr. Google, used social media, used the internet, and got all the information that I needed. To the point where we now are training our young girls. We have had so many successful stories with our girls who do not only stand up for themselves, but they'll also stand up for their sisters. They go back home and tell their parents that, I will not be part of that society. And even if I have already been part of it, my sister will not be part of it. So you see how it's so important that you work on the mindsets rather than, having this law. And even if we have a law in Sierra Leone against FGM, if the people do not accept it, if it's not a holistic approach that we use, then it's going to get worse, just as how we have the rape.
But I do trust it will become a holistic situation when, as you said, on Facebook, on the rest of social media, people are informed about what it does to people. And that leads me to my other curiosity, which is the harmfulness of all this. Is it the activists like Diaka who just want us to believe that FGM is that harmful? Is it just like them wanting to blur our minds, or is it really harmful to young girls?
FGM and its harmfulness, it's like saying FGM means you're being caught, basically. So it's like saying if you're caught with a knife, is it harmful? And we normally say the risks of FGM. So when we talk about the risks of FGM, we have people who are for FGM saying, oh, but I was in the Bondo Society, my grandmother was in the Bondo Society, everybody was in the Bondo Society, but what you are saying never happened to us. So for me, that's where they have to understand what risk means. It means it doesn't have to happen to everybody. It's like saying don't smoke because you'll have lung cancer. Not everybody who smokes gets lung cancer, but we know there are people who smoke who end up getting lung cancer. So it's about talking to them about this risk and what it means. Just because it doesn't apply to you doesn't mean it doesn't happen. So the harmful effects, like just for the short term, you're being caught in an environment that is not clean or sterile in most of the cases. So,
which means that if it's done in the hospital, it's still...
No, it's not. I'm not saying that. I'm saying medicalization of FGM is seriously wrong. I honestly did not go to medical school to come be cutting clitoris all over the place. The first thing we do, the first thing we say, the oath we take as we graduate as medical doctors, the first thing is do no harm. So FGM is doing harm to an innocent part that is not disease. You're cutting it off. Why? Why should I cut off your ear? It's there. You will say, oh, I don't need the external ear. Why cut it off? It was there. So the short-term harm that we can see is pain. You're being cut, most of the time without anesthesia. It's painful. It's very, very painful. It's gonna be painful. Because even if we all know as women, sometimes men, when we're at home, when we're cooking, you slice your hand when cutting something, it's hard. But you're being held down and the part of your body is being cut. So there's pain. And that leads to bleeding because you're being cut. So if for example, a blood vessel is cut, then we have lots of bleeding. And then it can move on to shock. So sometimes you see some of these things, it does not affect everybody. Obviously, some people are cut well, some people don't have bleeding or a lot of bleeding, some people heal well, and then it can cause keloids. Because when you cut, when you get wounded, you know it heals. And sometimes they say some person get bad body. You see somebody who pierces their ears and they have like this huge thing at the back that we call keloids. So imagine if you have that and what down there will look like after it has been cut. So some of these things happen from the beginning of the cut and it goes and it goes and it leads to long-term complications. Because we have the type 3 FGM where they actually sew the vagina closed and just leave a little portion for urine. Done in some places in West Africa, like Gambia, like Senegal, wherein virginity is such a prize that, okay, we're going to close you so that nobody would even be able to go there. So that leads to its own complications, where sometimes the menstrual blood can get out. So if nerve endings are cut, everything starts with that cut. So FGM activists are not saying you can't go on with your Bondo Society. We have problems with the cut, because everything around it starts with that cut. Because again, when you're cut, nerve endings are cut, you lose sensation. There's no sex. Some people don't have sexual pleasure. And you hear people saying, oh, I was initiated in the Bondo Society where I enjoyed sex. Well, this conversation is not for you. We are saying it is a risk. Some women don't enjoy sex. Some women don't have pleasure. Some women don't have orgasm. Just because of a decision my grandmother or my mother made when I was 5 years old. So I'll live the rest of my life, just one day life, and not enjoy sex. So this is what we are saying about the risks of FGM and complications.
If I had any doubts, they're dissipated by I know.
Thank you so much. Like that was on point.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. So now talking about gender inequalities that are really present in our society, even with couple infertility, what we always see is that the woman is blamed for not bringing offspring in the couple. While male are just exempt of all checks and whatever that goes with it. So how can we help the family, the society, and all understand the role of male in that infertility without even questioning their masculinity?
It's education. As I say, education, education. That's where the sexual education in schools come in, because it's supposed to include all of that. Male infertility affects, like in couples who are trying to conceive, male infertility simply means that a man can't get a fertile woman pregnant, period. That's it. So it's that simple. So in couples who are trying to conceive, it affects about 30% to even 50% of the men in those relationships. And because of our culture and our tradition, they don't want to come to the hospital. Fen picking business na woman business. So you even get men who refuse to accompany their wives when they are called in for tests. So you have this woman going, killing, praying, doing everything to conceive a child, where the man is the problem. And sometimes it's just something small that can be amended, that can be treated. So how can we do that is by education. Letting men know that men can also be infertile. Men can also have problems impregnating a woman. It has nothing to do with their masculinity. It does not mean you are not a man. Because in Africa, even women who can't have children say no to a woman. So it's about creating this divide between these definitions and letting men know that accompany your wife, get checked, get treated, and then you can have the baby that both of you are looking forward to, and both of you are really, really trying so hard to conceive. So it's just about a lot and a lot of education, that it's not only the woman who is at fault. Because as soon as you don't conceive, a lot of information start going about. They start talking about your university days. They start, there's just a lot of gossip going all over the place. So it's about encouraging our men, encouraging our boys to also go get themselves checked.
Yes, and I think again we need to stop giving men excuses.
Yeah.
We need to understand even the fact that we restrict men, we're restricting men, that's it. If we tell them that you're not supposed to do this because this is what a woman is supposed to do, then you're restricting them from actually achieving their full potential in life. I always say this, I will never buy pink toys for my daughters. Because that's where it starts, from when they're young. Once you start telling them, you start relating colors, that pink is for girl and blue is for boy. When actually you look at it the other way around, I am a Catholic. And Mother Mary, she was dressed in blue. So that tells you that back then, blue was actually a very powerful color that represents women power, feminine power. So you see how eventually, the way how the mindset of people, as generation moves on and on, everything starts changing. So we as parents or young people, we need to understand this. When we have our kids, let us pass on the information to them that you as a boy, you're supposed to go to the kitchen, you're supposed to clean the house, and you as a girl, if you end up getting married at some point and your man cannot afford to take care of the house, it is your responsibility to do that.
Is it what?
Sorry?
Isn't it?
Sorry?
Isn't it the role of the woman to take care of that?
Well, I mean financially. Financially, because we have this burden on men that he should provide for the family. So you see to the point where because of that, men have been taught that you even restrict your wife. You restrict, maybe, who knows, maybe your wife is a better businesswoman than you. Maybe she can bring in more income to the house. But because you have been taught as a young boy that it is your role to do that, that pressure is on you. Boys are not supposed to cry. Are you kidding me? If you are hot, if you have gone through so much stress, you're supposed to cry. Each and every one of us here, a man has a feminine side, the same as a woman. We can see sometimes you refer to some women that, this one, she has the heart of a man. It's not like that. It's actually, each and every one of us here, we were created by God. We both have our feminine and our masculine side. So it all depends.
Psychological part of you. I never knew you did psychology.
I don't do psychology.
Which is great.
It's just the way how I see life. I try to not think as, they always say think outside the box. I have gone past that. I think as if there is no box.
You don't know any box.
There is no box. Think free. The moment you start thinking, okay, there is this section where I cannot pass through, then that's where you have all these restrictions.
That's great. So yeah, this is really amazing, the kind of information and knowledge that we are sharing here. So just one last question before we transit to something that is equally important. It is the gender-based violence, which is at its peak, even after you know, the Hands Off Our Girls and all the campaigns. I was so curious about why it was at its peak after, but then you clarified the fact that maybe it's because now people are being more vocal about what's happening. So what I have seen is these husband schools that are created at community level. Do you think this is going to get us somewhere?
The husband schools I have heard on social media is to actually teach men how to become good husbands in terms of domestic violence, and it can help. So anything that anybody can do to help reduce SGBV is a great idea, because children that are exposed to violence in the home are at an increased risk of being harmed. So for now, we see, yes, at the Rainbow centers, we see an increase in cases. It can be as a result of the increased awareness raising. So now somebody knows if my child is raped, if I'm sexually abused, I can go to the centers. But the men are actually raping girls. These are not old cases. These are new cases. We get cases every day. We get a lot of cases. We had a case last week of a 1-year-old who was sexually abused. We have cases of 2-year-olds. We have cases of 3-year-olds. And this is where the men come in. We are getting cases of child sexual offenders. We are having 12-year-olds who are raping their 3-year-old cousins and siblings at home. We are having 13 and 14-year-olds. We had a case of a 15 and a 14 and a 12-year-old. 3 of them raping a 3-year-old girl. So we are failing our boys as much as we are failing our girls. So we all want, I fight a lot for girls because women have been left behind a lot. But now we see a lot of powerful women. We see amazing women. I look at what women are doing, like probably some people know about the Power Women 232. You look at what they're achieving. We had the former Bar Association President, Basita Michael. We have all of these amazing women in Sierra Leone that we see all the time on social media, that we hear on the radio, Asma James. But then we look at the boys. We're leaving our boys behind. So who exactly, what kind of a man is going to marry these amazing women we're raising? So we have to raise boys to be on the same level as the girls we're raising, because we're leaving them behind, and they're the sexual perpetrators. If you've started sexually abusing and raping a child at 13, what are you going to do when you're 33? So all of this information, all of this education has to go back to schools, have to talk to the boys, have to, you know, the women do sexually abuse kids. It's not only men, but the majority are the men. The majority of perpetrators are males. So which is why we have to also involve the men. We obviously can't do it alone. We have to let them, I say we have to let them unlearn, all of us. We have to unlearn all what we've had. That women, because they are available for sex. Women can't say no. We have to unlearn all of that, and then we relearn. We learn something new. We learn something else. We learn how to make the world a better place. How not to touch women that say no. Just because a girl is all over the street. Yesterday I was doing a safeguarding session at Rainbow with our staff, and I was telling them, because in Sierra Leone, something I've noticed in the SGBV, the younger the child, the louder the noise. We are ignoring the 16 and the 17-year-olds that are being sexually exploited, because you talk about the sugar daddies that give money. I see it in the centers. You see a 5 or a 7-year-old, oh, that man touched me, then I give me 5,000 euros. We are raising prostitutes. We are telling them their bodies are for sale. So we are ignoring all of that. We are ignoring these 16 and 17-year-olds that these men are exploiting and giving them money. And then at 25, we start pointing fingers at them. So all of this, we have, as I say, we have to unlearn and relearn. I can say that's sorry after we get for that 5-year-old picking where they rape. You say sorry for that 20-year-old woman back where they rape. Because it comes from the same, it comes from the same place. Men thinking they can dominate women sexually.
So ready to unlearn and to learn again. Yes. Who's ready? Are we? Yes, we are. Okay, so to just conclude this session, I would like these two amazing entrepreneurs to just go through and very briefly through their challenges and success stories as entrepreneurs. And we nicely conclude this episode.
So, well, the challenge for me is, I think the greatest challenge is funding, first of all. But it's also, I tell people, like, entrepreneurship has been taken, in turning everyone is an entrepreneur. Everyone is being driven to be an entrepreneur. And it's okay if you're not an entrepreneur. I'm sorry, I'm going to start with that. It's okay if you're not an entrepreneur. I don't know how to buy and sell. And that's not only what entrepreneurship means. For me, I think it's about finding what you're passionate about and finding ways to have another income, whatever that is. Whatever, it's not okay because so many people are successful at starting businesses, so you have to start a business, and a lot of them fail. The only business, because my Healthy Kids initiative is mostly an NGO, it's mostly non-profit making. I put a lot of my money into it. But then I am Muslim, I love Islam, I wear the hijab. So what do? I created a weekend school with a friend and a partner, and we teach little kids about Islam. So it's something I love, it's something I'm passionate about, and it also brings in income. And then I do consultancies. I don't sleep till 2 a.m. because I know that I need another source of income. Doctors are not paid very well. We just carry the title up and down. So many people make a lot of money. So I have to find other ways to also make money. So as she introduced, I'm currently doing a research with the UK government. So what I do is I find this consultancy. That is also a little bit of entrepreneurship because I'm making money on the side based on my knowledge and my expertise. So find something you're passionate about. You don't have to start a business like everybody else does. Just make sure that you make money. You make extra money even if you have a salaried job. Just find something that you can make extra income from.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Funding. Like, that's one of our greatest challenge. And yes, like for me, I see myself as a social entrepreneur who Girls Empowered. Because Girls Empowered, what we do there, we do business in order to sponsor most of our programs and activities. So by that way, we don't usually depend on, foreign donations or things like that. So we cater for homes, offices, we do furniture, we do clothes, different things to just bring in money. So if we have a girl who wants to attend a certain class that her parents cannot afford, we can be able to afford that. And I am a hustlepreneur, to Salina's backyard. Hustlepreneur means that's where I find my own little money on the side. So Salina, sorry?
A nice success story that we can
yes, just believe in your passion. Like, if you see something that you believe in and you see that, yes, I can flourish out of it, if you feel that fire deep down your gut, go for it. Because at the end of the day, like an auntie of mine said a few days ago, no one will blow your trumpets because everyone else is busy blowing their own trumpets. So focus on yourself, push hard. We know that the country we're in, it's so difficult as a young person to, even start a business. But don't let that reframe you or restrict you from achieving your dreams. Go for it. The opportunities are there. They are there. In Sierra Leone, the opportunities are there. So go for it and just make money. And at the same time, make a change. So
back to you, Vijaya, for question and answer section.
Hello, my name is Sonia Tijano from Gender Department from the college. Well, my question is for Dr. Bintuba. What's your take if abortion is being legalized in Sierra Leone, especially when the country is more religious and traditional in the day? That's my question.
Thank you very much. Sheikh Kulami Fago is my name for the college. It's good we gender issues when it comes to reproductive health, especially including the men in these issues. But I have a concern generally for activists who do propagate gender issues, because mostly we limit ourselves in Freetown, the city. But at fact, we have to recognize the fact that the majority of people in Sierra Leone are living in the province. So my question is, what has been your activities in the province in terms of sharing sexual, gender, and reproductive health? Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I am well, we all know that the younger generation is very, very active in sex right now. And as a result, we will experience a lot of teenage pregnancy. So, I have a question for the other panelists and the doctor. I heard you saying that you have your body, you have the right to do whatever you want to in your body, whether you want to have sex or whatever you want to do with your body. It's your body, you are free to do it. So don't you think that statements like that are like giving the reason for younger generation, people like 16, 15, 17 years old going more into sex? Because if you tell me that I have the right to have sex or to do whatever I want to do, don't you think that I'll go ahead and do it since it's my body? And as a result of having a high teenage rate, high teen pregnancy rate in our country.
The first one, the one about the, I have forgotten the name. You asked about legislation of the abortion rights and the fact that Sierra Leone is a very religious country. I think I'm just going to couple it up with the question the young man asked. Girls are going to have sex, period. Our women are going to have sex. And abortion, for me, is a human right. Human rights are not tied to anybody's religion. My religion is my business. I'm not going to impose it on anybody else's. My relationship with God and my conscience is my business. I'm only responsible for myself and the pillow I sleep when it comes to my religion. Because I'm not going to say, oh, because I'm religious, so everybody else has to be religious. My husband is a Christian. My kids are Christian. They go to church on Sundays because that is their religion. So abortion is about rights. We are religious in Sierra Leone. We are religious and cultural in Africa, but yet we have the highest rates of adolescent pregnancy in the world. We have imams and pastors and all religious leaders who are sexually abusing our girls. So religion and morals and whatever they use as an excuse not to pass these laws, for me, it's a moot point. It does not make any sense. The reason I'm talking about abortion is because if girls have the education, girls don't want to get pregnant. Half of these pregnancies are unplanned and unwanted. It's not like they're actually going out to get pregnant, which comes back to your question about your body and what you do with it. It's not like they're going to have sex, have fun, and then they get pregnant because sometimes they don't have the education. Statistics and research has shown that when you teach girls sexual and reproductive health education, it actually, how can I say, it increases the age of their first sexual contact. So actually when girls have education, they don't start sex early. They don't start having sex early. Because when they're in schools, because we want them in schools, when they have the education about their rights, I tell you have to use a condom or no sex. So when the guy says no condom, it's no sex. So that girl that should have had sex at 15 because she does not have the education, probably when she's 18 and 19, when she can actually negotiate safe sex. So the point of education, and when I say autonomy, I mean, if we give them the education, they're not going to be randomly having sex. They won't. If we tell them that your body is yours, they're not going to be sharing it with everybody. That's not what the education is about. I hope you understand. The autonomy is that you can't force me to have sex. You shouldn't force me to have kids. You shouldn't force me to keep a baby I don't want. That is what I mean, that your body is yours, and that decision you make is yours. So we can talk later if you're still in doubt, and I can explain more. But for me, the abortion in our country should be legalized. A girl, a young woman, women who want to terminate pregnancies are not only teenage girls. Married women who are 30s and 40s, who can afford a child, just doesn't want another child. If you've had your 3 or 4 kids that you want, you're done. These are the kids that you can afford. We have a country where people are poor and can't even afford the kids that they have. And then they don't have access to education. They don't know how to prevent pregnancies. They don't know how to terminate pregnancies. They don't have access to it, so they keep having children. You hear somebody who has had 8 children, why are you still having, me, I don't know, waiting for donor for born? Because they don't have access to the education and to termination. So I hope I've answered you.
Okay. Okay, so the third, you were asking what programs we're doing? Yeah, okay. So recently, Girls Empowered, obviously we're very aware of that, but like we mentioned earlier, funding. For you to go to provinces and do projects, you need to have money. So we have started going little by little because Girls Empowered was established in 2016, so we're still growing. We recently did a training at the Waterloo community, Samuel Town, on FGM, where we trained and we established the youth-led movement. I mentioned the youth-led movement earlier. So these people, we train them with information, the messaging that they need to go around their communities and advocate against FGM. So for now, we are at Waterloo. Very soon, we'll go or wherever. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm aware that not last year, in January or February, you went to my
Yeah, we went to the provinces. We go to, for my work, I do a lot of treatment of childhood illnesses. That's my focus, my foundation most of the time. So we've gone to a village called Samabuin, and we've been to Makeni. We do a lot of health outreach. We treat children under 5. We mostly work with the community health centers to ask them what they need, and in terms of drugs, in terms of diagnostics, and we do that. And when I work with Rainbow, we are in Kenema, we are in Kano, we are in Bo, we are in Makeni. So whilst we're there, we also do a lot of sexual education. So we are trying. But as Jaka says, it's very expensive, especially when you're based in the capital city. To try to go to these provinces and do work costs a lot of money.
Thank you so much for this amazing session. All I want to add is that, because of those religious beliefs, we fail to give information to our kids because we think it's taboo. We think that if we equip them with the knowledge, they will go and mess around with their own bodies, while it's the contrary. If our kids receive the primary information from us, we are sure that they receive quality information. But if we let that guy or the sugar daddy or whoever gives them the information, of course they are going to rewire their brains and play with them. So of course we need to be the primary information givers to our own either kids or siblings or friends or whoever we have a touch of, okay? So we are very grateful for these 2 great people here. We appreciate them for what they are and for the great work they are doing. Thank you so much, Bintu. Thank you so much for your time. And thank you to this great audience. See you next month for a great